the font size she changed confused some voters, and they started voting for Pat Buchanan, who was not interested, instead of voting for Al Gore. And that vote that Al Gore lost led to George Bush becoming president. Now, if you ask yourself, that single decision that woman made, the consequences, you would have asked yourself, if Al Gore had been president, would he have declared axis of evil? Would he have gone to war against Iraq? Then would there have been Osama bin Laden coming up and causing the whole thing that the world is causing today? A single effect. That's what I'm telling you. Whatever you do matters. Don't ever see yourself as powerless. You might not have power, then we say you do not have power. Then we call you powerless in that aspect. But that you, as a human being, that you have a voice, and the way we are living in one of the best times to live in. You know, there's something Trump said. He said that Twitter is like having your own newspaper without the losses. And you see, and as I was telling some people, you know, I had a training in one of the universities where I was training some mass communication students. Then I told them that social media has rewritten the entire curriculum of journalism. I mean, anybody, if you were in any journalism class in, say, 20 years ago, whatever they taught you, I mean, go and burn your books. Go and burn your book, because social media has rewritten the entire curriculum of journalism. And aside from that, it is also bringing up a lot of things we can't control. The use of bots. You might be online, you don't know that the person who you are interacting with, the person who is clicking like and sharing whatever you are posting is not a human being. There are so many programs now that have been set out there to behave like human beings. They are not human beings, and that's what they use in. Take time and study what's happening about the Russian interference in the American elections. Don't just think that it's about America. That same thing, what happened there is the use of the dark science of media, which is still in its infantry stage. People are afraid of artificial intelligence. The next one that's coming, which is, they are using it now, which is going to force a lot of people, both in advertising, people will be buying things they don't need, spending money they don't need, because they are sending bots out there. And it's all in the social media, and they're using it, and that's the power of the media. Anybody who studies, we call it perception management, and people call it propaganda, will understand that that power presently is such that if you don't really understand it, people get you to think what you don't even want to think. And by the time you take action and start thinking through, you ask yourself, did I really do this? But what I'm telling you is that that same power they can use to perpetrate evil, we can use it to enforce change. If you're here in this room and you have either a Twitter account or you are on Facebook, you are a change agent. And when we come together like this, if one single butterfly that is flapping its wings can cause great consequences elsewhere, imagine if we are 50 here, 50 of us flapping our wings in unison. Imagine what we can cause. And that's the power of what we are doing today. If you don't understand it, that's where it lies. When people of the same conviction focus on the same issue and want to bring about a certain change, we just agree that this is the change we want. And all of us come together and start flapping our wings in unison. The change we can cause, the power we have within us is unimaginable. So don't think that you are a nobody. Don't think that there is nothing you can do. lend your voice to the change evangelism that is being launched today. It's very, very important because we have no other country except Nigeria. You know, sometimes it's easy for people to get a visa and run away. But if you've had that opportunity, also stay away, you will discover that no matter how away you are, there is just something inside you that will tell you that this is not your place. It does not matter how many years you've lived there. There is just something inside of you that keeps on telling you that this is not, no, this is not it, this is not it. And you find yourself that you live a temporary life. Even if you stay there for 50 years, there is something psychologically telling you that this is temporary. I will go home, I will go home. When are you going to go home? That's why it's very important that we have to create the home we want in this country. And let me tell you, in flapping our wings in unison and focusing on the change we want to create, let us not be deceived that those who want to shift out, those who feels that our agenda will impact on their status quo will sit down and be watching. And that's why anytime you want to hit them, they remember where they are from. No, when they commit something and everybody's on them about that thing they committed, that's when they remember their religion and they remember the section of the country they're from. And you will ask them, this section of the country that you're from, this village that you're from, how many people have you lifted up from this village? Nobody. But the worst aspect is, I read somewhere, that beggars don't envy millionaires. Beggars envy beggars. No, have you noticed? No, have you noticed, even if you go out any of those places you see, buy stuff, maybe a woman that's selling granola, you find out that the woman who's selling granola, her biggest enemy is another woman that is selling granola. That's the person she's envying. When she could have envied to be either the wife of Dangote. That's the person. And if you give the opportunity to bring somebody down, she won't think about bringing the local government chairman that is always coming to carry her stuff. Or the Kai Brigade. I heard they've renamed the Kai now. It's no more Kai Brigade. So they keep on renaming. No, she won't, if you give her opportunity, she won't think about bringing those people down. The person she wants to bring down is the other woman who is also selling granola. Whereas, if the demand for granola, both of them are not even able to meet the demand for granola in that street, there's another opportunity for 2 or 3 more granola sellers to come to that place, but they won't allow it to happen. And this, let me tell you, politicians understand this so well. They understand this so well that the people at the other level, that there is something about their psyche. And part of that is improper education. It's not about having certificate. Let me tell you, information does not give you knowledge. Information just informs. But what you do with information, your ability to sit down and look at that information and start picking things and start asking questions and start seeking answers to those questions, that's what gives you knowledge. And what you do with that knowledge is what matters. You can have that knowledge and you don't do anything with it. That's why we have, it should be about 25 million people on social media and all this. But when you want to cause a change via that, you discover that it's not working. Because people get this information and they don't do anything with it. 21 years ago, Delegiwa said that Nigerians are unshockable. That's 21 years ago. He wrote in one of his, Paradise Slacks, that's his lesson, he said that Nigerians are unshockable. Which means that there is no information, the kind of information that happens elsewhere and it causes scandal and people will just come out and they will throw everything up if it happens here, Nigerians, it takes, you know, there's another thing we have in Igbo language. He said that, you know, when an issue is too big, people will discuss about it in 7 days. After 7 days, it will die. See, no matter how big an issue is, he said just give people 7 days, they will discuss about it, it will just fizzle out. And if you notice the place we live, Nigeria we live now, you discover that, I mean, in our country, it's not even up to 7 days. Every 48 hours, something new comes, and it takes, as soon as it comes, we get so much engrossed in it. But in the long run, what do we do with the information we have? That's the problem. That's why information is not knowledge. And that's why it's also a charge I'm putting across to the organization, to this group, to also ensure that they help people to get knowledge from the information that is available. Now, Paradise Papers is out. People who can't pay tax in Nigeria now want to pay 11 million pounds into Europe. They are not paying tax in Nigeria. Federal Inland Revenue Service has a server that has access to every corporate and personal bank account in Nigeria. So they know when money drops in and when money drops out. Then they can even sit down, analyze that thing, and come out to know who is paying what and who is dodging what. But are they doing it? They're not doing it. They're not doing it. Technology is giving us the ability to fight corruption in this country, but are we using it? We are not using it. So there are so much we can do. And there are examples of people who are changing stuff, who are changing things. You know, some of you who are online, you saw what Remi Adoye is doing with the this thing. And you see it's catching. Yeah. It's catching up. That's the way. That's butterfly effect. It's catching up, and people are coming to confess and to bring money they scam from other. They're going in post to make it. Let me drop the money. That's one aspect. That's one aspect. You see, the issue is that everybody has a role to play. Everybody has a role to play. Find out the role you have to play. All of us are not going to be conveners. All of us are not going to be speakers. All of us are not going to be good writers. All of us are not going to. There is something, that thing you can do, contribute it. When you contribute it, the little you can contribute in a whole, we'll all put it together and we'll be able to achieve the things we want to achieve. It's so important. And that's why it's important that we have to start organizing. As she said earlier, we have to take it like an evangelism. Each one reach one. Each one reach one. There are like minds. There are people who want change for Nigeria. Within your space of influence, locate them, talk to them, get their buy-in, and let them be part and parcel of it. You see, as we are thinking now, there are so many people in this country that are also thinking in that direction. Anybody who has delved into mental science will understand what I'm talking about. If you are a writer, if you sit down with your pen or with your tab, you're thinking about an issue, thinking about something you want to write. Write. If you don't write, in the next 24 hours, you will read a song that somebody has written the thing you want to write. Because whatever you focus on expands. Whether the good or the bad. You focus on something, it expands. And thought is an energy. And as you're focusing on something, you're releasing energy. And that energy is there in the air. And somebody who is thinking somewhere will catch it up. And that's why if you check some of the inventions in sciences, you will discover that while somebody is here doing an experiment on something, another person is in another country, thousands of miles away, doing the same experiment on that same something. How did they connect? There is an interconnectivity of like minds. So if foolish people come together and start thinking, they will attract foolish minds elsewhere. But if responsible minds come together and start thinking, they will also attract responsible minds elsewhere. That's why it is very important for us to take this serious. Let it not be like a flash of the pan kind of stuff. Take it serious. Let your mind be in it. Let your mind be in it. There is no other country we have than Nigeria. And I used to tell somebody, I said, I prefer to be a fish in a big pond than be a big fish in a small pond. Before you know it, the pond will you start growing so, and the pond will restriction. That's why it's very important. The problem you have in Nigeria has nothing to do with ethnicity. It has nothing to do with religion. It is economic. Let me tell you, when people are okay, when people have hope, they won't start seeing the next door neighbor as a threat. All this thing you're seeing is just fault lines. There are so many fault lines. But the economic fault line has a way of causing an implosion for other fault lines to manifest. And when they manifest through the same emotional line others manifest. And the most emotional is either ethnic or religious. So that's why you're seeing all these things you're seeing in this country. Anytime they're able to put the economy in place, and they're able to expand the economic space so that anybody, no matter what you want to do, you will find something to do. And hope is the most important thing we can build on. That's why as we are marketing this, let's also market hope. If people don't have hope that tomorrow is going to be better, then they will be ready to destroy the today they see. So that's why it's very important for us. Let's use whatever we have at our fingertips, which technology has made so easy for us. Anything you want to post. That's why I remember in those days, when they want to swear in an editor in a newspaper, now, you don't know who is a journalist, you don't know who is not. In those days, an editor used to be sworn in. You'll be sworn in because you're the gatekeeper. Because what you're putting out there has the power to cause and cause a lot of things. But now it's also you are your own editor. You are your own editor. You are your own self-censor. You censor yourself. You also ensure that whatever information you're putting out there are information that brings change, information that elevates, information that unites, and information that brings people together. But above all, you see something, you say something. There is no way we are going to cause a change if we see things that are not going right and we keep quiet about it. See something, say something. It doesn't matter the number we are here now. The guys that eventually led the Cuban Revolution, they are just 12 in number. After the Maestra, the Sierra Maestra Mountain problem they had, where all of them were killed. Only 12 people survived, and it was the same 12 people that went and rebuked again and took over the government. So what I'm telling you is that we can do it, and the best time to start is now. Thank you so much.
All round of applause for our speaker. Please keep it going. Thank you so much, Mr. Kelechi Teta. We are grateful for that wonderful speech.